Hello and welcome to Checked Out, a CHPL podcast hosted by me, Joe Armstrong. We are now on episode 2, and we have a good one for you today. I am joined with Steph Cooper, our Materials Selection Librarian, who works in our Materials Selection and Acquisition Department over at our Distribution Center, which is a whole episode in and of itself. Thank you for joining us, Steph.
Hello.
Hi
nice
there.
To be here.
And also Adam Vorobok, who you may recognize from our other hit podcast, Warlock Vorobok Reads. Adam is our reference librarian right here where we are recording at the downtown Main Library. Adam, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so today we have a really special episode to talk about one of our more popular services that I personally enjoy called Book Hookup. And this is a service where library staff will provide recommendations custom to you based on what you like to read, authors you've liked in the past, and they'll turn around and handpick you what may be your next favorite read. So we're going to get our discussion kicked off with you two just sharing a little bit about the service because you were both here when it started almost 10 years ago to the date. So why don't you start by sharing how this service came about and a little bit about what it is.
All right. Adam seems to remember more details about the start, but there was a whole project team that was created with a bunch of librarians, mostly downtown, to try and figure out how we can give personalized recommendations to our readers. And with a lot of trial and error, we eventually came up with this book hookup idea.
And it kind of spawned out of something that had existed at the downtown public library, something called CD of the Month Club, which was started by a fellow co-worker named Steve. And that we were given CD recommendations because we had a lot of customers who came downtown looking for our CD collections. And that kind of grew from a really small group to Steve starting to push this idea of, can we get an online presence on the website so people can put in their requests that way? And it kind of, well, why do CDs when we could do books? And that kind of idea came about.
So how was the initial response for something like this? Did you expect a lot of people to jump on it? How did those first few days go once it actually started?
It was pretty chaotic then because we didn't have any technology behind it. It was basically running off email. So it was just trying to use these form letters to email people back and forth. And there was a lot more people interested than we initially thought. So it started with just librarians. And then we were like, all of our staff is so good at giving book recommendations. Let's bring in anybody who wants to. So it just started very simple and quickly grew more complicated.
Yep. And as someone who did the CD of the Month Club, that sort of reader's advisory work was already something I was being used for. So they were like, come, Adam, join this group. And I was like, well, I'm a creative writing major. I love books even more than I like music, and I like music a lot. So like, yeah, I'm all for it. But yeah, it was wild. And you think you get these ideas of like, oh, well, yeah, I can recommend books to anyone. And then you start getting all these wild suggestions or requests of like, I want books set in submarines. And you're like, whoa, wait, I don't even know a book set in a submarine. So quickly had to adjust on the fly on how to do the reader advisory stuff, which luckily going to library school prepares you for.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit more about how folks can actually use this service. What type of information do you ask and how is it submitted? How can people find it?
So we do, if you go to our website, under Books and Media, you'll see a link for Book Hookup. And once you go in there, there's a form that you fill out, and that will ask you like your past 3 favorite reads or your favorite authors, genres you're interested in. There is a chance to check if you want what level of spiciness you want to yours. Like some people are not comfortable with any level of spice, I guess we'll say.
Yep.
And that's a tough one to meet the needs of, because you don't always know. So sometimes it can be a surprise.
Yeah, because it's
but-
very subjective too.
Yeah.
You can do research on a book and it says this book has a really mild level of spice, but that could be a lot for someone depending on circumstances. There's also boxes you can fill in with information, and the more information you provide us, the more accurate our responses can be.
We do get a lot of blank ones.
Yes.
And then you just
That's just
kind of pick
that's
from
random
wild.
guessing at that point because we have no information to go off of. Because like the ways we sort of try to do it is you'll have like the pacing of the book. So if someone says they like to read a lot of James Patterson books or other New York Times bestseller lists, then it's like, oh, they want a fast-paced, short chapters, a lot of action, that kind of thing. Or if they put that they want character-based stuff, then that changes exactly who we're going to recommend to you.
We tried to make it so our avid readers could be as specific as they wanted to, but people that were just maybe trying to get back into reading or discover it could also use it. Like, I want books, I want mysteries, I want spy stuff, so it can be as detailed or as general as you want it to be.
And it's also, in my opinion, a great place if you wanted to try a genre that you've never tried before, because you're getting some expert opinions on people who are familiar with all the different genres and the popular authors and titles, and kind of can get you that perfect one that will make that your new favorite genre.
When I talk about it with my family, I always make the analogy to when you go to a restaurant and you're looking for like a special accommodation or some new recipe. You're looking for an expert to say, yeah, I want something a little, more sweet or mild. What can we do here? And I think this is the same sort of thing where I can ask a librarian who knows is every type of book, what is hot right now, what are the classics in this genre, saying, I want something that is more, nonfiction about submarines. And even though it might be a challenge, I'm sure that you'll come back with at least 3 good books about submarines.
Yep, and that's true. We always give 3 suggestions for every request that we get. We try to do the turnaround time in about 48 hours.
So within 2 days, you have 3 custom hand-picked recommendations straight sent to you.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting too, because the popular requests do seem to change with the times. Like right now with society just being a little heavy, I feel like most of the requests I'm getting are, I just need something lighthearted, escapist. One of the funny ones recently was a positive dystopian. Good luck finding that, but we did, because that's what we do. But yeah, it's just interesting to see the trends with reading, and you'll see them pop up in Book Hookup.
And you could do it books, physical books, or audiobooks, or ebooks, or e-audiobooks. So there's all the different formats as well that we cover.
Love it. All right, we'll be back with more about Book Hookup, including some recent customer picks to give you a better sense of what we're talking about right after this.
Visit your favorite arts, cultural, and recreational attractions in Hamilton County for free with a Discovery Pass. With your library card, you can reserve a Discovery Pass for 15 local attractions, including the Cincinnati Museum Center and American Sign Museum. Learn more at chpl.org.
To expand access to STEM-related learning tools and materials, the library has partnered with the Library Foundation and Dean Regas to circulate 15 telescopes for use by library cardholders. Telescopes are available at 15 locations, and each can be checked out for a 7-day loan period. Learn more at chpl.org.
And we're back to talk about Book Hookup. Now we have some recent customer picks that you've pulled for us to give us a pretty clear idea of the types of requests that you can submit and how you go about picking those 3 recommended titles. What's the first one that you brought today, Adam?
So I got one that the person was looking for, a 60-20-20 book, which I had never even heard of before in my life. They described it as 60% story, 20% some other element, and 20% humor. It initially confused me at first because I thought all books were 100% story. I didn't know only 60% was needed. But they gave examples. They said Project Hail Mary was one, or Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So what I kind of gathered from that was that it was, okay, they want story, but they want something else. They want to learn something, and they don't want, humor seemed to be a part that they really wanted to be as well. So then I started to use our novelist database to kind of narrow in on these sort of plot devices stuff that they wanted.
And Novelist is definitely our biggest tool as a book hookup answer person.
Tell me about that. What is Novelist?
It is a database that you can access with your library card, and it is just there to give you read-alikes, to help you find any topic you want, to find a bunch of books about it, and it's for all ages. And you can pick character, you can pick what setting, time period, mood.
Yep, they also have really nice lists that are like author read-alikes. So if you just know the author's name, like Stephen King, then you get 10 other authors with their names, so you can kind of work from there.
I think we're giving away our trade secrets.
A little
They're
bit.
not going to need us anymore.
So tell me a bit more about where you landed with the 60-20-20.
When humor came into it, and a book that was also containing other elements, Catch-22 by Joseph Heller immediately came into my mind. It's one of the funniest books I read when I was in high school, but it also has a very serious war message involved with it. The Princess Bride, so that they lean towards science fiction fantasy. That didn't seem like there was too far of a stretch.
My personal favorite book of all time,
Yeah.
by the way.
If I ever need a classic, I'm asking Adam. He knows them all.
Again, creative writing major here, so I have that kind of background for me. So, and then the other one I did was Warcross by Mary Lou, which kind of had this almost Ready Player One-esque kind of plot of people getting involved inside computer games.
Cool. Steph, what's one that you've worked on?
For me, one of the challenges, and I mentioned it earlier, is when people want like a squeaky clean read, because you just don't know what is between the cover of those books. So another one of our secret tools is Storygraph, and that works a lot like Goodreads, but it has content warnings that readers can add. So if somebody's read the book and they're like, oh, there's a lot of cussing or a lot of risque scenes or something, usually you'll find that they're in there. So I feel like, wouldn't you say large print clean reads are very common?
Yeah.
And you don't want to just recommend 100 different Amish fiction books, because that is a very large portion of the large print clean read list. So go into Storygraph and just double check in yourself to make sure you're not going to offend somebody.
Yeah,
Is
I
a
would
great way
say
to go
also
about
the
it.
growing collection that we have in our ebooks and e-audiobooks has made book hookup easier, because in the
Yes.
early days, people would request audiobooks for science fiction books, and there just wasn't a lot of science fiction books in audio. So like getting the e-access stuff has just made things so much greater.
Yeah, and that even with large print, because they're so hard to get in physical print, but at least with your ebooks, you can enlarge anything to large print.
So tell me about, I think there's one recommendation that was about a TV show that they liked.
Oh, Friends, yes. Someone asked me to recommend books that was like the show Friends, which was a way of thinking about books that I've never done before, but I was fascinated by it because I was like, well, that is something, one, I grew up when Friends was on TV when I was in high school, something I did watch, but it was just like this cool idea of like, how can I look into books that capture that thing of friendship very well, and it was a really interesting way of doing lots of different searches trying to find that out, and reading what other people on the internet said. Like, I like this book because of the friendships between the characters, which is not always easy to find per se. Like, if you read a lot of book reviews, that sometimes comes up, but not always. So like, I had to do a little digging for that one.
You can definitely see you have to be a certain degree of nerd to embrace book hookup, which luckily the library has plenty of. So
you heard it here first. If you're a fan of Selling Sunset or The Diplomat or anything in between, you can also use that in your book hookup request, and they'll find a book that's related to that show. That is too funny. All right, we'll be right back after this.
Do you need a private space for studying or a meeting? Cincinnati and Hamilton County Public Library offers free meeting and study rooms for reservation. Available at most library locations. Learn more at chpl.org.
Did you know the library offers free printing? Print up to $5 of documents every day for free. That's 20 color pages or 33 black and white pages. Additional pages are only 15 cents a page for black and white or 25 cents a page for color. Learn more at chpl.org.
And we're back for what is getting known to be one of our more popular segments, where we ask our guests what they're reading now. So, Steph, do you want to get us started with what's on your reading list?
okay, first off, I'm always a little behind because since I buy books, I'm very sensitive to waiting lists, and I usually wait till waiting lists die before I read things. So I am currently reading The Wedding People by Alison Espach, and it is about a suicidal woman, and she's staying at this resort, and there's a wedding there, and somehow it's really funny, and I can't believe it's so funny, but it is, and it's really well written. And then I also just finished listening to Piglet by Lottie Hazel, and it's absurdist fiction. It's another bad marriage. I guess I'm in this bad marriage phase. Mine is fine. Don't worry about me. But I always have to be reading one and listening to one. And the Piglet was pretty out there. This woman is coping with her trauma by just stuffing her face and ends up eating her whole wedding cake and throwing food and walking out on her husband. And it's a lot.
Oh.
Holiday read.
Yes, yeah, very uplifting.
Adam, what's on your list?
So I am still going through my Halloween phase. Obviously, I did Vorobok Reads podcast, so I always lean towards horror. So right now, John Langan's Corpse Mouth is a short story collection that I'm reading, and absolutely love it. My nephew's really into Godzilla, and the latest story I read is about a kid obsessed with Godzilla. So I'm like, I gotta tell him to read this story. He's gonna love it. But I also picked up Shadow Ticket by Thomas Pynchon. Thomas Pynchon is one of my favorite authors, although he is commonly described, I think, from a lot of people as a difficult author. He doesn't write things that are James Patterson-like, that are easy to comprehend.
Not a beach read.
Not a beach read, but it is so good. It's, again, really funny. I think, as Steph pointed earlier, that everyone's looking for some lightheartedness and humor. I'm actually shocked on how funny it is. Thomas Pynchon's last couple of books have been more almost like Elmer Leonard crime novels than what he's known for, which is Gardy's Rainbow, which is this giant epic World War II thing. But in this particular one, it is 1930s Milwaukee, and this private eye is hired to find a missing cheese heiress who may have run off with a clarinet player in a jazz band and may have gotten on a submarine.
Oh,
Hey,
submarine
I know,
pick.
submarine comes back.
Don't forget that one.
Just read this morning, a submarine in Lake Michigan. So it's got all of this, like, almost feels like Thomas Pynchon tried to write his version of The Big Lebowski.
Best movie ever.
I know, it's a
Books
great
for
movie.
people that love movies.
Exactly. And yeah, so it's got some weird bowling alley scenes and just really jazzy, fun, kind of snappy dialogue, His Girl Friday kind of vibes. So.
I love it. My reading list is continuously growing bigger thanks to this podcast. I've got 4 new things to read now. So thank you both for joining. Adam, appreciate you joining us today.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Steph, thank you as well.
Thank you.
All right, and that is a wrap on episode 2 of Checked Out. We will be back next week with some more personalized reads just in time for the holidays. We'll see you then. Checked Out is a podcast presented by the Cincinnati and Hamilton County Public Library. It is produced by Paul Wellington. It is sound engineered by Steve France, hosted by Joe Armstrong, supported by the CHPL brand team, as well as the hundreds of library staff across Cincinnati and Hamilton County. Thank you for joining. We'll see you next week.